In a quiet little town, far away from the noise of the cities, there lived a woman named Adora. She was known by everyone as kind, hard-working, and deeply devoted to her faith. Life had not given her much, but she carried herself with a gentle grace that made people admire her. She was the type of woman who found joy in the simplest of things, sweeping her compound at dawn, caring for other people's children, or lending a hand to a neighbor in need. Though she had no riches, her hands were never idle, and her heart was filled with hope. For years, Adora had dreamed of a better life, not just for herself, but for her family. She longed for a chance to travel abroad, to work, and to save enough to change their story. So when a friend approached her one evening with exciting news that a family in the United Kingdom was looking for a trustworthy woman to serve as a nanny, her heart skipped a beat. They promised to handle her travel papers, accommodation, and even pay her a good salary. To Adora, it sounded like a dream come true, a rare gift of destiny. But in her town, no one made big decisions without seeking divine direction. People believed that before taking any major step, one must first ask for the voice of God through a pastor, a prophet, or a prophetess. It was not just a tradition, it was a way of life. And Adora, being a woman of faith, could not imagine taking such a step without spiritual guidance. So before she gave the final answer, she decided to visit prophetess Miriam, a woman widely respected in the community. The prophetess was known for her visions and revelations. People came from far and near to hear her speak. Many believed she could see things others could not. Her home stood quietly at the edge of town, surrounded by tall, whispering trees. The air around it always seemed still, as if the earth itself paused whenever she spoke. When Adora arrived, she explained everything: the job offer, the promise, the family abroad. Prophetess Miriam listened carefully, nodding from time to time. Then she asked Adora to write down the name of the family and the country so she could pray over it. Adora obeyed without hesitation. After a long moment of silence, the prophetess sighed deeply, closed her eyes, and began to murmur in a low tone. Finally, she lifted her head and looked at Adora. "My daughter," she said softly, "this opportunity sounds good, but it is not from God. I see danger ahead. I see you crying in a strange land. The people who claim they want to help you may turn against you. They may harm you. Do not go." Adora's face fell. Her joy melted into confusion. The prophetess's words echoed in her heart, and as a faithful believer she dared not go against what seemed like a divine warning. She thanked the prophetess sincerely, relieved that she had come to seek counsel before making such a life-changing move. In her heart, she thought she had escaped a terrible trap. She went home and immediately called the person who had offered her the job, telling them she could no longer accept the opportunity. Though it pained her, she consoled herself with the thought that God must have spared her from some unseen danger. Time went on. Life returned to its usual rhythm. Adora continued with her daily chores, caring for the children in her neighborhood and doing laundry for people to earn a little money. Sometimes, when she watched planes passing high above the clouds, she would sigh and wonder what her life might have been like if she had gone. But she quickly dismissed those thoughts, reminding herself that obedience was better than sacrifice, and that God's ways were not man's ways. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Adora was at the market picking vegetables when a familiar voice called out, "Adora! Have you heard the news?" She turned quickly. It was her friend Ngozi rushing toward her, excitement all over her face. "What news?" Adora asked. "Prophetess Miriam. She has traveled abroad." Adora frowned in disbelief. "Traveled? To where?" "To the United Kingdom," Ngozi replied. Adora shook her head. "No, that can't be true. I saw her just a few weeks ago at a church program." Ngozi waved her hand. "No, my dear. She's no longer in Nigeria. She left about 3 weeks ago. I saw the pictures on Facebook. Her daughter even posted them. I thought you knew." Adora blinked. "Facebook?" "Yes. In fact, I even tried her phone number, and it didn't ring. Wait, let me show you." Ngozi scrolled through her phone and turned the screen toward her. Sorry, there she was. Prophetess Miriam, smiling in a thick winter coat, standing beside a white house covered in snow. Another photo showed her by a Christmas tree with the caption, "God's time is the best." Adora's hands trembled. Her lips parted, but no words came. No, this can't be true. She told me not to go. She said there was danger. Ngozi's smile faded. "Wait, Adora, weren't you the one that was supposed to go to the UK? That family that wanted a nanny?" Adora stood there, speechless. Then slowly she told her everything, how the prophetess had warned her and how she'd turned down the offer. Ngozi's eyes widened. "Jesus Christ! You mean she used your information to take that job?" Adora nodded weakly. Ngozi shook her head. "I used to go to that prophetess too. I never believed she could do something like this." The two women stood there in silence, the noise of the market fading around them. Adora's heart thudded in her chest. The betrayal felt heavy, almost physical, pressing down on her like a stone. That evening she walked home in silence, replaying everything in her mind. She could barely eat. When night came, she sat on her bed, staring into the darkness. The thought that Prophetess Miriam had deceived her, had taken the very opportunity she had prayed over, was too painful to accept. She decided to find out for herself. She picked up her phone and dialed the prophetess's number. It rang once, then went silent. She tried again. Nothing. After several attempts, it stopped connecting completely. The next day, Adora went to the prophetess's house, hoping to find someone who could explain. But the compound gate was locked. A neighbor came out and said casually, "Ah, Mama Miriam. She's not around, oh. She traveled out some weeks ago. They said she's in London now." Adora stood there for a long time, feeling the world blur around her. When she finally got home, she decided to check for herself. She opened Facebook and typed in the prophetess's name. And there she was, photo after photo, confirming everything Ngozi had said. Her hands shook as she scrolled. "So it's true," she whispered, her voice breaking. "It's really true." She thought about letting it go, but the pain was too heavy. She needed answers. She needed to confront her. So she typed a message. "Mama, why did you do this? Why did you tell me not to go, only for you to go in my place? I trusted you. I believed you spoke for God." She waited. No reply. She sent another message. Still nothing. Later that night she checked again, only to realize that she could no longer see the prophetess's profile. She had been blocked. Adora sat on her bed, trembling. The tears she had been holding back all day finally fell. "Why?" she whispered to herself. "Why would someone who claims to serve God do this?" Her faith felt shattered. For the first time, she questioned everything: the prophecies, the so-called visions, and even her own discernment. How could someone who stood at the altar praying for others be capable of such deceit? Days turned into weeks, and the story spread quietly through the town. Some refused to believe it. Others whispered in corners, shaking their heads. Who would have thought? The prophetess that everyone trusted. Adaora withdrew from people for a while. She needed time to heal. Yet deep within her, a quiet strength began to grow, a realization that she had been too trusting, too eager to let others speak to God on her behalf. From that day, Adaora changed. She still believed in God, but she became cautious. She learned that not everyone who calls themselves a prophet speaks for heaven. Some speak only for themselves. She learned that sometimes the voices we follow in faith can lead us away from the very blessings meant for us. And perhaps the most painful lesson of all, that while God never lies, some people use His name to cover their own desires. So Adaora carried that lesson quietly in her heart. She forgave, but she never forgot. And whenever she saw someone rushing to seek prophecy before making a choice, she would smile sadly and whisper, "Pray for yourself." Not every voice that says, "Thus saith the Lord," truly comes from Him. Because in the end, she discovered that the greatest deception is the one that hides behind faith, and the greatest loss is the blessing you hand over in the name of obedience. And that is the story of Adaora. A story that reminds us to open our eyes, to trust God, but also to use wisdom. Not every man or woman of God truly speaks for Him. Sometimes, the biggest test of faith is learning to hear God for yourself. If you learned something from this story, or if it touched your heart in any way, please don't forget to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful and inspiring stories just like this one. Your support helps us keep telling stories that teach, inspire, and open eyes. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay wise, stay discerning, and stay blessed.